Okay, so now we're going to go through exam number 1, and I'm going to try to highlight some concepts, the right answers, some thinking, and in my background here I have where people had the most questions. So this question is looking for, and I know you can see my cursor there in the form of a hand move, what's the main protein found in, it says feline plasma, but that would be any mammal, and it helps osmotic pressure of the blood. And I'm going to try to highlight this, and I think I can make it yellow. And the right answer is albumin. It's made by the liver. This was in the reading and some of the videos. If you don't have albumin in the blood, you have trouble keeping fluid in the blood. Somebody said, what are those abbreviations? Well, we haven't done anything with these abbreviations, so it's kind of like a distractor. The kicker is, if you know the right answer, you would ignore IgM and IgG, but we're going to find out later those are antibodies. Immunoglobulins M and immunoglobulin G. Next question, select the term that means white blood. Notice it doesn't say white cell. It's just something that when you would break it down, it just simply means white blood. And you have to know prefixes and suffix for this. We talked about this, and I'm always going to try to say where it was at. I know that question number 1 there was in videos for sure. White blood was definitely in videos, perhaps some of the reading, maybe in lecture as well. And it's this leukemia. And let's see if I can highlight it there. I'm doing it. Highlight the text. And leukemia is made up of L-E-U-K as a prefix meaning white, and E-M-I-A is blood. So that thing means literally white blood. You know it as a cancer, leukemia. There's an overproduction of white blood cells that end up being abnormal. And so leukemia literally means white blood. Hydrocephalus, that's water on the brain, is an excess collection of, well, it ends up being cerebral spinal fluid. I think a lot of people got that right. It was in our material that we learned. Number 4, Daisy, the story, beautiful story of Victoria's basset hound that was stung by Africanized honeybees. If you remember that story, and we're going to have her tell it again on a videotape, but the poor dog's ears fell off because of necrotic tissue, and she was very lucky to live as long as she did after that episode. God bless Daisy. Now here's one that had many people stumped, physiological saline. Well, saline is something with sodium chloride, and physiological basically means something that's isotonic with blood. And so a lot of people did something wrong. They saw that 0.9% here, and then they were, 0.9 grams of sodium chloride. And in class, I know in our lecture notes, we had 0.9 grams per 100 grams. And so actually then if you multiply it out, and I think another thing we said was 9 grams of sodium in 1 liter, which is 1,000 mils. So that is actually the best answer there. A, the right answer. 9 grams sodium chloride in 1 liter of water. That is the recipe there. Okay, so then what we have here is something is often used to prevent clots from forming within a venous cannula. I remember this was a videotape. It had a picture of a tube inside a vein, and you need some kind of anticoagulant, and the only one mentioned there is heparin, so heparinized saline is often used to prevent clots from forming. Okay, when blood enters a capillary, and this would be on the arterial end, right? You leave an arterial and you enter a capillary. It ends up being hydrostatic pressure is the major force that makes fluid leave the blood vessel and go into surrounding tissue. And I think a lot of people got that right. So let's see, how do I get this done? Here we go. There we go. Okay. When a tomcat has polycythemia, it's got a lot of blood cells in the blood. That means many cells in the blood. You get an increased packed cell volume. Okay, this talks about the heart, and somebody said, does the equine heart equal the feline heart, so forth and so forth, so forth. All mammals would have this same answer. So the pericardium is the membrane that surrounds and protects the heart. Could be the equine heart, could be canine heart. Excuse me. So the pericardium, peri, P-E-R-I, means around the heart. Breakup of red blood cells. Well, that's going to be hemo, means blood, and breakup is lysis. So here we go. We have hemolysis is the best answer. Most people got this right. A blood volume of 2,500 mils equals how many cc's? In some place, I know even in class we talked about how 1 mil equals 1 cc. So you'd have the same number on both sides of that equation. There's that. Study of structure. Definitely this was in a video. I remember that. And it's morphology. None of the other answers are right. Some people picked histology up here, but that means the study of tissue. Morphology is the study of structure. This was on abnormal heart disorders, something like that, cause of a acute equine heart failure. It could be any of the animals. Ruptured chordae tendina. This is when some bands of fibrous tissue that are supposed to hold the valve from everting, they break, and so then the valve can kind of goes backwards too far. So E is the right answer on that one. Ectopic is a term that means out of place, not in its usual place. So let's see. That's here, abnormal place or position. A lot of people got that right. I'm going to speed through this now. Free lymph in the canine thorax, definitely on a video. Chylothorax. I'm just doing this so you can see the right answer and what it was. In the reading, I talked about carbon dioxide being transported in the plasma. It ends up being, most of it is transported as the bicarbonate ion. And then that's converted to carbon dioxide and blown off by the lungs. Blood cells that are anuclear, that means without a nucleus, and that are distinctly concave, there's only one. That's got to be erythrocytes or red blood cells. You name it, whatever. Secondary pacemaker of the heart. I think that was in the reading and the videos. Well, A is the atrioventricular node, and that's the right answer. The sinoatrial node was perhaps the first primary pacemaker, but then we have the atrioventricular node, as the right answer for the secondary pacemaker. Okay, so this down here is SA node, this is the AV node. Okay? Now here's one that a lot of people got wrong, and it's in the video. Shock is where there's not a lot of blood perfusing around the body. Okay, it's something about blood not getting into all the tissue. Shock. Doesn't actually have anything to do with the nervous system, which, you know, is kind of misleading. Shock. Here it is. Ineffective perfusion of blood into tissue. That's shock. Excess collection of interstitial fluid, that's the very definition of edema, wherever that occurs. All those other terms are distractors. Ballet for horses, we had some student present that. Dressage. That would only be found in your class notes. Here's another one. A student presented all the types of skulls in dogs. Some are very short versus their width, and bulldogs look like they ran into a brick wall. That is brachycephalic. And let me see if I can get that here. There we go. That is that answer. Now here's one that's kind of complex. Blank is a condition where the blank. And I'm reading kind of fast. You have to go through these and say, okay, look at anemia is hematocrit is above normal. No, anemia is a hematocrit below normal. You have to go through these and all see which one's true and false. Ends up being tachycardia is where the heart beats too fast, above normal. Canine heart disorders, very common in puppies. PDA is patent ductus arteriosus, something that's normal in the fetus, but if it lingers in the neonate, it's bad. Now, 25. Somebody did the comparison of horses, ruminants, and dogs or cats. I can't remember which one it was. Doesn't really matter on that one. We talked about the horse having a cecum, and then that means digestively the horse can be classified as a hindgut fermenter, fermenting fiber past the small intestine. Septum, that was in our heart discussion, it's a wall. Septum means wall. You can have septal defects in the heart. Let me just get the wall highlighted. Blood clot formation. I know this is in the video, in the reading as well. That was calcium, a mineral that's a blood clotting factor. I think we even had that as one of our lecture points. Domestic pigs, well, it ends up being they are omnivores. This is referring to one of our student presentations as well, omnivores. This was a video, main artery found in the rear leg of the cat by the femur, which is the largest, is the, I guess you'd say the thigh bone is the femur. So the femoral artery is the largest artery found in the rear leg of any animal. Cyanotic dog. Cyanotic means having blue tint to something. The only one that gets close is E. That means blood is lacking oxygen, and through the skin it kind of looks bluish. Okay. Now we're looking for something, excess tissue of fluid within something. Okay, well, it looks like the only one there that makes sense. You have to go through and put each one in. Edema is an excess fluid collection within the vena cava. No. You have to go through these, and the only one that makes sense is E. ascites, and abdomen, excess fluid. Okay, now you have to know your anatomy. What vessel carries blood away from the right heart? And the right heart pumps blood into the lungs, so that one ends up being pulmonary artery. Let's see if I can get that highlighted all the way. There we go. The wall of the vessel, the wall of the heart, outermost. Okay, the outermost is going to be the epicardium. Okay, the outermost layer of the heart. Let me see if I can do that again and get it. Epi means upon, so it's kind of like the outer layer of the heart. Oh, that's the last one, isn't it? 33. Okay, everybody had some great comments on the exam. Most of the material was either in the lecture, the lecture notes, I should say, videos, and then the reading. So I don't think there were any surprises. But I wanted to go through this to help you see the logic of reading these things and getting to the right answer. Thanks a lot.